guys, it's Katie, and I'm here today to do my June wrap-up and my July TBR. Now, June was a bit of a rough month for me. I've been in summer classes, and then the World Cup started, so I got super invested in that, and then I just had some other really rough things kind of going on in relation to school and other things in my life. And Pride Month, which was really, really exciting. I didn't really do anything because of my chaotic, crazy life, but yeah, a lot of things happened in June. But let's get to the books I read. I managed to read 4 books. Some were books that were continuing from May, but I managed to read 4 things. And the first thing that I read in June was Getting to Yes by Roger Fisher and William Ury. And this is a book I had to read for school. It's for my clinic, and it's all about mediation and different techniques and strategies in order to get your client and have a satisfying negotiation session. It was interesting, but it was also really boring, and I don't want to say I hated it, but I didn't love it either. It was just kind of meh. But yeah, it was fine. Now, the second book I finished in the month of June was Fool's Assassin by Robin Hobb. And of course, you know that I really, really enjoyed that because Robin Hobb is one of, if not my favorite author. I don't know how I can describe this to you because it's the 14th book in a very long series, but it's the first book of this trilogy. So I'll tell you as little as I possibly can so as not to spoil you. But we are basically back with our main protagonist. His name's Fitz, and he's kind of older, and he's kind of living a peaceful life at the moment. And it's a very introspective book that focuses on relationships and just showing you Fitz in a content life for the moment, which is unusual for this series. I really enjoyed seeing this introspective kind of book, but it was also incredibly heartbreaking because of certain events and things that happened. Because it's so introspective, we got to see Fitz reflect back on his life and then look at where he is currently. And it was a very, very emotional read. I mean, out of all of the books, I could argue that it was the most emotional that I've read in the series, which is really saying something because it's a really ridiculously emotional series anyway. But one thing I will say that kind of jarred me and might have kind of pushed me into this little spot that I'm in at the moment, but the ending of that book just was so jarring and left me reeling almost. I was completely blindsided, and I was not expecting any of it. I mean, I was expecting a large chunk of it, but some of the things that happened it was a lot to handle and a lot to deal with. And I'm finally starting to come to terms with some of it, I think. Or maybe I've just compartmentalized it a little bit. I don't know. But I didn't want to jump right into Fool's Quest right away because I needed time to process what I had read. It's a lot. And I have a feeling that the next 2 books are going to be, shall we say, a ride, emotionally and in every way possible. Things are going to be strange, I think. I'm not sure. I don't know. We'll see. We'll get there. But anyway, after I read that, I needed a little bit more whimsically light books. And so the first book I read was In the Criminal, and that's the second book in the Heart of All Worlds trilogy series thing by Charlotte Ashe. And I forgot how much I loved the second book. This was only my second time rereading it after I read the first one initially, but I loved it so much more than I remembered initially. And because I had such a different experience reading the first book this time, I was more excited to read the second one, but I loved the second one so much more than I expected I would. Just getting to see the world more fleshed out and the world expanded upon, and the characters, all of them were side characters in the first book, and just getting to see them really grow and interact with certain people and certain characters in the second book, I just loved it. It was so worth it. And I don't know if I can tell you too much about what happens, except for it focuses on two characters named Tash and Fude, who are both she, and I keep calling them elf creatures. They are literally elves. I need to learn to say that, but they're a certain kind of elf. If you've ever read anything dealing with Celtic mythology, they stem from that kind of place, basically. And it just follows their interactions and their budding romance and their adventures and things like that. But this book was a lot more action-packed than the first one, and there was a lot less of things that we dealt with in the first book. For those of you who haven't seen my review, that might clear a little bit up more, so I'll just link that in the cards. But yeah, I really liked The King and the Criminal a lot more than I remembered. And the last book I read in June was A Murder on the Orient Express by Agatha Christie, and I just did a review for that yesterday or the day before, and so I'll also link that above. But that was arguably the best murder mystery story I have read, either in a really long time or maybe ever. It was just so good, so well written, and I loved the structure, the characters, just how it was written, just everything. It was so good. As you saw in my review, I had two little minor annoyances with it, but they're irrelevant. It doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. But you'll hear me talk a little bit more about that in my review. But I loved it, and if you guys haven't read any Agatha Christie, definitely read A Murder on the Orient Express. If you read only one of them, make it that one. If you want to read more, also add And Then There Were None. Those are her top two most well-known works, and I would highly recommend them. So yeah, that was everything that kind of happened in June. Now shifting towards my TBR for July, it's quite small, at least in the amount of books, but in stature, it is by no means small. This might also end up being my August TBR as well, because of the books that I'm reading. They're going to be very large and probably take me some time. So we'll see. I'll probably update you at the end of July just to kind of let you know where I'm at. But as of right now, it seems likely that they will continue into August. But I'm only reading 3 books for July. The first book I plan on reading is Fool's Quest by Robin Hobb. I think I have finally let my emotions and thoughts and things sit long enough that I can go into Fool's Quest not prepared, because I am never prepared. You may think you're prepared, and you may think you know what's coming, but you're not prepared, and you don't know what's coming. It's just, you can't prepare yourself. You just can't. So I think I can go into this feeling a little bit better than I did at the end of Fool's Assassin, and just carry on with that. And then after I read Fool's Quest, I've been told by many people that I'm going to just want to continue right into Assassin's Fate. We'll see if I feel that way. And if I don't, then I might take a bit of time to mull that over as well, and then read Assassin's Fate, which is the last and final book of the Realm of the Elderling series, and the last of everything that's published so far. So yeah, we'll see. But I'm definitely planning on reading Assassin's Fate as well. And we'll see how I'm feeling after I finish that. I might not want to read anything for a bit of time after I finish, because I've heard it's an incredibly emotional read, like insanely emotional. So I might need some time to step back and just sit with everything I've read. I mean, I think this may be the last fantasy books I read for a bit, because I mean, what I've got planned for the rest of the year has very little fantasy, but I tend to do that anyway. I don't know why, but anyway, it goes. I also might read a fourth thing, but I don't want to call it a fourth thing because it's just a short story and it won't take me very long. That's also set in the Realm of the Elderlings universe. So I might read that at some point in July as well, just to kind of wrap up my entire ROTE experience. We'll see. But then after I finish with all of that, if I am okay enough, I'm going to launch right into Poland by James A. Michener. And that book is very, very large. I've been told it's historical fiction, and it was recommended to me by literally every member of my family that I interact with regularly, and they just love Michener in general, and I tend to like the same things as my family, so I'm going to give it a shot. But it's like this. It's insanely large. And so that's why I'm saying my TBR may continue into August. We'll see. And I'm also not doing Tome Topple, but I mean, I might as well be doing Tome Topple because of the books I'm reading, but I might just be doing them at my own pace rather than reading it all within a 2-week span. I don't think I can do that with my schedule right now. I'd love to do Tome Topple one day because it sounds like it's right up my alley, because I literally do not read books that are under 500 pages 95% of the time. Just look at my TBR shelves. Most of the books that I have on there are 500 and over. So we'll see. But I am kind of intrigued by Poland. It seems to be following, I don't know if it's one family or how this is exactly going to work, but it's following, I guess, families throughout Poland's history from the Middle Ages up through the 80s or something like that. It spans, I think, 100 years. And so that's really interesting because I really enjoy history books, but it also sounds like it's a historical fiction, and that is also really interesting to me. So it'll be interesting to just trace the people from this country throughout a period of a very long time. So, and I don't think I've ever read anything like this. And so it'll be really, really cool, I think. I hope I'm able to do it before I start school again in August. I'm not going to have any time off. It's fine. But yeah, I'm hoping I can at least try, and hoping that I can at least get through it by the end of August at the latest. We'll see if that actually happens. But that's kind of my plan for the next month. We'll see how it goes and we'll see what happens. I'm just going to kind of be very loose with my reading in the next month or so because of how I'm feeling and everything that's going on, and just the books that I am planning on reading, just all of it combined, just I don't know. But yeah, that's really all I've got for you today for right now. So as always, feel free to like, subscribe, comment, follow me on social media. I have a Twitter and a Goodreads, which are both linked below. And I also have other social media sites such as a second Twitter, a Tumblr, and an Instagram upon request if you'd like. And I will come back with another video for you guys again soon. Okay, bye.